Oh, the stories that are the headlines.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is the Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Patrick Paez.
I'm at Lingao. Okay, baka people are wondering, what's Storycon?
Story Conference. No, usually at around this time of the day, we have what we call our Story Conference, where we meet all the producers and the editors and discuss what goes in to the programs on prime time and on the following programs on the next day.
Kumbaga yung news advisories, lahat ng naipon for the day ng mga storya, pag-uusapan niya ng mga producer at editors, sasabihin, itong top story mo, itong sunod, ito sunod.
Galing naiba.
Story conference.
Very
That's what
interesting.
all news agencies do. Around this
Pero
time,
hindi pinapalabas.
Hindi.
Until now, pag-uusapan natin. Okay.
Galing.
Today, we were about to go with the appointment of the new Maharlika Investment Fund, CEO and President,
Yes.
Joel Consing. And then this thing happens nga. I think you messaged us a while ago about what was developing
Messaged us,
in the
with
court
this too.
in Muntinlupa,
Yes.
at the Muntinlupa RTC. Okay, so now we have to bump off our original top story for this.
Kawawa naman ang Maharlika.
Ayun. Pwede pa rin natin pag-usapan
Matagal pa
mamaya.
naman yan. Oo. But anyway, so today you were there, and I also understand one of our guests who's now on the line was also
Si
there,
Attorney.
si Attorney Dino De Leon.
Yeah.
Pero Bok, dito kami the whole time. Si Attorney Dino kasi will only be here with us
Of
for the
course,
first 10
oo.
minutes and then he has to go.
Hindi, tsaka siya talagang talagang abogado siya. Ako, kwan lang. Tigagulo lang.
Ikaw yung tagayakap lang. Attorney Dino, can you hear us?
Hello, good afternoon, and
Hi, sir.
to all our listeners.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us, sir. Sir, teka, una-una, para lang niyo. So, sir, the court granted bail to Laila de Lima. So, that's let's put that down clearly. It's bail pa lang ang nagagrant.
Yes, this is provisional liberty as of the moment, no? So the court granted bail. We are reviewing the decision of the court as to what is the basis. But we are happy to say that Senator de Lima will be freed soon after we process all the bail requirements.
Okay, Attorney, can we have a quick recap and review of all these cases? 3 cases, I understand. 2 have been dismissed, if I'm not mistaken, because of their the witnesses have recanted. And so this is the last remaining case against Senator De Lima. Am I correct?
Yes. In criminal case 166, that was dismissed right from the very start. And that was dismissed because our demurrer to evidence was granted. That means that it is essentially a motion to dismiss. And the court granted that because the evidence of the prosecution was not enough to sustain conviction. That means that in criminal case 166, we didn't even have to present evidence. And by the evidence of the prosecution alone, it was not enough to warrant conviction. For criminal case 165, our demurrer to evidence and eventual motion to dismiss was granted as well because of the star witness there recanted. No, in this particular case, 2-3 weeks ago, 2 witnesses recanted, and our petition for bail has been granted by the court. So this is the last case that is the reason for the unjust detention of Laila de Lima.
Okay, Attorney, can you just tell us what this case is all about, this last case? And why just a provisional grant of bail and not a dismissal of the case?
Well, definitely all of these 3 cases are based on what we have always called trap-up cases because Laila de Lima led the investigation against the violent war on drugs. So most of the allegations are the same, or the accusations are the same. That is that Laila de Lima supposedly engaged in drug trading, and supposedly that is for her campaign, which of course, based on the pieces of evidence, are all hogwash as seen in criminal case 165 and 166. There are 3 things that you have to remember based on these cases that are the characteristics of all these cases. The first one is there is no single gram of drugs that was ever recovered or that was offered in evidence, even if this is a drug trading case. Number 2, there is no trail of money, even if this is a drug trading case. That is to say that in case of trading, you have to show that there was a flow of money. In this particular instance, there was no flow of money shown by the prosecution. In fact, their own witness in the Anti-Money Laundering Council agent stated that there is no single investigation that is pending that has linked Laila de Lima to any illegal flow of money. And the third one is most of the witnesses here are convicted criminals who are convicted of crimes involving moral turpitude. No, so right from the very start, assuming that they really testified, they are usually not testifying on their based on their own personal knowledge, but based on hearsay. But more importantly, of course, their credibility is tainted. Plus the fact that they were never charged, even though they are admitting that they were the ones who committed drug trading. No, so that is already suspicious, and at the same time, a lot of them have been coerced to testify, as seen by those, as could be seen in the recanting witnesses.
Tony, nakita ko yung order kanina, ang kapal. No? Parang judgment na siya eh. Parang judgment na siya on acquittal eh. Ano bang tingin mo ron, attorney? Parang hindi siya just a simple bail order eh.
Oh, so we are reviewing it right now, no? But in case that it is a judgment, it is an order stating that there is no strong evidence of guilt, of course, we are hoping that such initial pronouncement will be retained when we seek for the eventual dismissal of the case with finality.
Sir, Attorney, let me just quote from a portion of the decision. Prosecution was not able to discharge its burden to establish establishing that the guilt of the accused is strong. Exactly what does this mean in legal terms? And the implication nito, if the court says this, as far as bail is concerned, anong bearing ito dun sa final decision eventually?
So, in criminal cases, the quantum of evidence that's met by the prosecution is proof beyond reasonable doubt. Okay, and that all the pieces of evidence offered so far by the prosecution during bail proceedings have been offered into evidence, right? And when the judge assessed it, it wasn't strong enough to even meet a lesser quantum of evidence, and that is strong proof of guilt. It's not even proof beyond reasonable doubt. So for us, that is a clear indication that Laila de Lima is indeed innocent, and then hopefully this case will be thrown to the dustbin because right from the very start it is rubbish.
Attorney, pahabol attorney. Attorney, pahabol lang, attorney, kasi I remember na the two of the more famous recantations involved si Rafael Ragos tsaka si Ronnie Dayan. And well, si Espinosa, although hindi sa court yun, sa Congress yun. Pero if I recall correctly, yung sabi mo dati, itong criminal case 167 does not involve the testimonies of these two, yung kay Dayan tsaka kay Ragos. So ito ba yung naapektuhan ng recantations ng dalawang yun?
Well, two things, no? Even if hindi nag-testify si Dayan tsaka si Rafael Ragos here, the clear picture because they have similar attributes is the fact that witnesses have been coerced. And that was verified when Magleo, in the witness stand, stated that his life is at stake, and which is why he's recanting. In fact, when he said that he's recanting and he handed over the note to Senator Laila de Lima, in this particular case, the prosecution dispensed him as a witness. So what does that mean? No? It means that the recantation of Magleo is consistent with the overall picture. And the overall picture is witnesses have been coerced, witnesses have been threatened, their lives were in peril, which is why they were forced to testify against Laila de Lima.
Pahabol lang, sige lang. Attorney, huligirit lang sa akin. With all these in mind, all these the circumstances which appear to point to forcing witnesses to testify, may balak ba kayo na humabol doon kay former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre?
Yes, paano? Sabi ng ibang witnesses, sila ay pinressure ng mga nasa kapangyarihan para mag-bear ng false witness. May opening ba or inclination yung mga lawyers ni Laila na kasuhan naman, ibalik naman dito sa mga nag-pressure dito sa mga witnesses na tumestigo laban kay Senator Laila de Lima kahit walang basihan.
Kasi parang marami sila.
I just have to say, no, na pinakaplanan mismo si Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre ni Rafael Ragos sa isa sa mga nag-pressure sa kanya. No? Kaya nga aming kinukumbida rin yung mga lahat ng mga pinwersa pa, no? Kasi sabi nga doon sa letter ni Leo, meron pang 5 more than around 5 more witnesses who would like to recant, no? Na sana pangalanan nila. Pero ang tanong ay kakasuhan ba sila? Will we file charges against them? You know, Senator Laila de Lima, during her interview during the campaign, when she was allowed to have some interviews, no, for purposes of educating the public through a court order. Ang sabi niya naman kung may mensahe siya kay Rodrigo Duterte at sa lahat ng mga persecutors niya, ang sabi niya right from the very start, there will be a day of reckoning. Why is that the case? Because Laila de Lima, the reason why she's doing this, the reason why she fought for all those people who were killed during the violent war of drugs, it's because she knows that the battle is bigger than herself. It could be just more convenient for her not to pursue charges, not to investigate the war on drugs, but she continued to do her mandate as a senator because of her recognition that the battle is bigger than herself. So, you know, it's not us lawyers who will push through with this. Laila de Lima has very firm conviction that eventually there will be a day of reckoning.
Let me push that further. Attorney, have you talked to her about that specifically? Of course, baka at this point it's too early to say anything categorical. Pero is she looking in that direction? When she says and you say there will be a day of reckoning, mukha bang darating doon sa punto na magkahablahan? At hanggang kanino? Kasi nabanggit nga si Secretary Aguirre, pero isa sa mga kabangga talaga ni dating Senadora de Lima si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte.
Well, alam mo, Ed, no? Kung hindi gagawin ni Laila de Lima yun, ibig sabihin ba pwedeng abusuhin ang justice system and then no one else will be held into account? Alam mo yung pambababoy sa ating justice system, no? Yung pambababoy sa hustisya. Alam mo, si Laila de Lima hindi naman pumapayag na pabuhin yung hustisya, kaya nga siya nakulong. No? So ngayon pang nakulong siya, at ngayon pa makakalaya siya na pinaglaban niya, ang katotohanan, tumindig siya para sa hustisya. Of course, that will be the eventual direction. No? There will be a day of reckoning, and Laila de Lima will hold her persecutors and those who weaponize the justice system into account. They will hold them accountable.
Okay. Attorney, before we let you go, no, kamusta na po si Senadora de Lima? Is she on her way home at this very moment?
She is being processed, no, and we're actually trying to process the bill requirements at this point in time. No, she is in Kame right now. We are processing the bill requirements, and hopefully she can get home tonight. No? So that's what we're trying to do. But kanina, nung in-announce yung nangyari sa korte, no, nagpasigaw yung mga tao, and si Laila din naman tumingin sa taas. She was right at my back, and I was looking at her. Then tumingin sa taas, tapos sabi niya, finally freedom. No? So tumingin sa feeling na nagpapasalamat siya nasa itaas, finally freedom. Tapos umiyak siya, gumagulgul siya. No? Because, 6 years, ulitin ko, 6 years, magsa 7 years na siyang nakakulong, mahigit kalahating dekada. Grabe talaga yung ginawa sa kanya. But she endured in the name of fighting for what is right and just.
And it hasn't been easy for her, no? Remember there was that shooting incident right
Biro
inside
mo,
2022.
PNP Custodial Center.
Nakakulong na siya, muntik pa siya mapatay.
Yun, oo.
Nakakulong na siya, muntik pa siyang mapatay, pero nakakulong rin siya. Tandaan natin, nung incumbent senator siya, nakapag-file pa rin siya ng close to ng 700 bills in resolution. So hindi tumigil na magtrabaho si Senator Laila de Lima. At grabe yung muntik siyang mapatay, di ba? Binaril sa tabi niya yung assailant, blood splattered towards her. Grabe yung pinagdaanan niya sa loob, no? And sana nananawagan kami pag nakawala na siya na patuloy dapat siguraduhin ang kaligtasan ni Laila de Lima.
Okay. Maraming salamat, Attorney. Thank you for your time.
Pahabol isa. Attorney, sorry, pahabol na lang. last. Kasi the former president supporters, sa mga supporters ng dating Pangulong Duterte, have said several times na walang kinalaman ang dating Pangulo sa pagpapakulong kay Senador Laila de Lima. Your thoughts on that?
Well, alam mo, yung bibig naman ni Rodrigo Duterte, sinasabi niya naman mismo right from the very start that Laila de Lima, you are finished. Laila de Lima, you will rot in jail. This has been documented by the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention. Diba? Galit na galit si Rodrigo Duterte kay Laila de Lima only because she was trying to investigate the war on drugs and she was fulfilling her mandate as a senator, no? So siguro yung mga supporters ni Rodrigo Duterte, no, wag naman sana tayo maging bulag, no? Ilabas natin yung katotohanan because in the end, isa lang naman yung bansa natin. Eh. Hindi naman natin bansa si Rodrigo Duterte, di ba? Yung bansa natin, yung Pilipinas, at isa lang naman yung katotohanan. And we have to be open, no, to the fact na baka nagkamali yung ating mga binoto at kung nagkamali sila, ultimately, we have to hold them accountable. No? We have to be loyal more to our country, to our common shared values, not towards a particular personality.
Okay. Maraming salamat, Attorney. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Attorney.
Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
I guess, boss, coming from what Attorney said, maybe the former president has been quite vocal.
Yes.
Very vocal.
Actually,
Intensely
About
vocal.
these things. In fact, I think we were going through YouTube a while ago and we saw a clip.
One
I
among
don't know if
many.
it's ready. Yeah, one among
as
many.
in, well, if you do
Yes.
recall over the last so many years he was in
Yes.
power, talagang sunod-sunod yan.
Actually, nung December 2016, nagkita kami ni Laila sa Washington, D.C. Kasama niya si Attorney Jojo Garcia, na lawyer pa rin niya hanggang ngayon. No? Merong conference sila, may conference din ako. Nagkita kami, sabi ko kay Laila, huwag kang munang bumalik ng Pilipinas. Dahil ang daming sinasabi nitong mga psychopathic leaders no na bagong elected against you. Na ikaw ay dudurugin, ikaw ay mabubulok sa kulungan.
Ginamit mo talaga yung salitang psychopathic.
Oo,
in
ginamit
your-
ko.
okay.
No? Bahala na kayo kung sino ang iniisip yung psychopathic. No? Pag psychopathic kasi, walang sense of right and wrong. Pag sociopathic, may sense of right and wrong, pero gagawin pa rin
Yun
yung wrong.
mali.
Yun yung kaibahan sa dalawa. No?
May nuancing eh. Nuancing.
Sinabi ko sa kanya, sabi ko, observe ka muna. No? Tingnan mo muna dahil baka ipakulong ka or worse. Yun ang sabi ko, or worse, no? Ang sabi niya, wala naman akong ginawang masama eh. No? Kaya bumalik siya. At to make a long story short, kinulong nga siya. Pero nakita kami nung sa DC. Winarningan ko siya because exactly yung mga statements na sinasabi mo.
Not only that, remember, in November 2016, nagkaroon ng hearing sa Congress kung saan kung ano-anong mga inungkat na personal details that to a lot of people had nothing to do anymore with the drug case. Pero
grabe yun.
even the words that were used, puro double meaning.
Bastusan talaga yun, no? Talagang
We're talking about here, I don't know, we're all adults, no?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
sexual indiscretions,
Yes,
allegations
yes.
of sexual indiscretions, I think. But do we have that clip that we were looking at a while ago? And is it possible
think
to
it's,
show it and run a few seconds of
Dating
it?
Pangulong Duterte.
yes, maganda
This was
tingnan
at
yun.
the State of the Nation address, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe our producer will try to get that ready so we can
Yeah.
just see and refresh ourselves with what
Yes.
happened all this past 6 years.
One
that led
among
to
many
this.
clips, especially in the first 2 years, talagang retrata niyan eh. Until finally in February of 2017, pinakulong na si
Kaya nga
Senator
kanina, nung lumabas yung bail decision, no? Sabi ko kay Laila, mukhang may nagbabasag ng mga plato ngayon at saka mga baso at tataob ng lamesa, no? May mga galit na galit ngayon na possibly dalawang ex-presidents.
Ayan na,
Okay.
yung soundbite. The soundbite is here. Let's play back the soundbite from, I think, 2016, 2017.
It takes two to tango. Pag binabastos ninyo ako, babastusin ko rin kayo. Kagaya kay Dilima. Tama yan sa iyo. Magtiis ka. Binastos mo ang Pilipinas ng druga dyan mismo sa National Penitentiary. Ngayon, sige kayaw-yaw dyan kung ano-anong pinagsasabi mo na hindi ko kaya. Bakit? Ikaw ba ang nag-elect sa akin? Did you elect me as president? Ikaw, nasa prisuhan, magtiis ka. Ginawa mo talaga yan. Huwag mong sabihin hindi mo ginawa. Ginawa mo yan. Remember, I was still mayor. You were criticizing me. Alaala mo? Criticizing me about human rights. Ang sinabi ko sa iyo, you better look into your own backyard. You are fighting with ferocity like a wounded animal na, alam mo, gano'n eh. Totoo niyan. Kagawaan mo talaga yan.
Does not really prove that the president had any direct dealings with the case itself.
Yes, pero marami
It just
pa yan.
shows,
Hindi lang yan, di ba? Marami yan eh. No?
it just shows at the very least, it just shows the ferocity of
and
the
he did make reference to the investigation that then Justice Secretary De Lima did on the Davao killings.
and the CHR when she was CHR.
Commission on Human Rights.
CHR, so sorry. When she was chairman of the Commission on Human Rights. And this supposedly caused the ire of the former president.
Yes, dahil mayor pa lang siya, iniimbestigahan na siya. Dahil wag niyong kalimutan, yung mga rumors noon ay DDS, Davao Death Squad. Doon nagsimula yun eh. Di ba? Yung DDS na yan. No? Kaya galit na galit siya nung iniimbestigahan siya. Pero hindi na consummate yun eh. Dahil alam mo naman yung ating justice system, mahabang proseso yan, mabagal. No? Pero marami ring witnesses ng panahon na yun. At ang kaibahan ngayon, yung mismong allegedly head ng Davao Death Squad, ang ngayon ay nasa ICC. Si Las Cañas. Yun ang kaibahan ngayon. Kaya very strong yung case. Possibly. Na
Before we get into that, Ronald, kasi kanina pa nakapaskil dito sa ating sa ating wall, itong picture na ito. Kanina lang nangyari ito. Can you explain to us what was happening at Muntinlupa?
Nung lumabas yung decision,
RTC.
so yung mga kami na nasa labas ng kwarto, dahil puno na yung kwarto, ay pumasok. At doon na namin kinongratulate si Laila. At kami ni Laila, very close naman kami niyan. Lalo na nung kami ay mga cabinet secretary, kami yung lagi nagbibiruan during cabinet meetings dahil lahat kasi ng cabinet secretary seryoso eh. Pero kami ni Laila, nag-aalaskahan kami diyan, no? Nag-aalaskahan, no? Kaya lahat nung nakakulong siya, dinadalan ko siya ng paborito niyang pagkain, yung
Which is?
Bicol Express,
Ayun,
no? Ginataang yung adobo, yung adobong tuyo, no? Dinadala ko siya ng mga pagkain. Kaya na-maintain yung aming communication.
How emotional did she get
Siyempre,
a
kita-kita
while
mo,
ago,
no?
this afternoon?
Pero
when she-
nakulong ka ng almost 7 years. Munti ka mamatay sa kulungan.
Were there tears shed? Kanina?
Yes. Nakita mo sa picture, umiiyak siya eh. Diba?
Tapos,
Tapos,
drug na drug siya in those
may ilan siyang kamag-anak na namatay habang nakakulong siya eh, na hindi niya mapuntahan, no? Kaya very emotional siya. Lalo na ay nakakulong siya nung senador siya eh. Diba? At siyempre, malaki ang epekto niya nung last time na tumakbo siya, na natalo siya. No? Kaya ang hirap kasi nun eh, Secretary of Justice ka, tapos ang laki ng injustice na ginawa sa'yo. Diba? Kaya, pero at least ngayon nakikita natin, no, na parang meron namang consummation yung kanyang quest.
Tsaka po, I'd also imagine the emotions going through her kasi in those years, talagang she became the laughing stock of a lot of people, especially online. I mean, people were making fun of her.
Yes.
Talagang making fun of her and what she was going through.
Hindi, mga kongresista mismo eh. Di ba? Nilalapastangan siya sa congressional hearings eh. Talagang bastusan eh. Talagang babuyan, no? Kaya talagang hindi lang yung kanyang katauhan eh, yung kanyang pagkababae. No? Ay kinakatay. No?
You were mentioning a while ago that this is a case that was closely monitored not just in this country but by the foreign community.
Yes.
In fact, kanina sa Muntinlupa, RTC, may mga representatives doon ng EU, ng European Union who were
maraming
who
representatives.
actually went out of you could say they went out of their way to make their presence felt at the courtroom for this event, for this
Which
thing.
is unusual. I
Which
think
is
it's
unusual.
unusual.
So tell us, why is this such a big deal?
Yes,
for
una,
the
sabi nga ni Patrick,
diplomatic
no?
community?
Maraming mga representatives yung iba't ibang embassies, especially from Europe, na nandun. No? Nandun. Ikalawa,
Run us through the
kung
list.
babalikan
Sino
natin
mga
yung
napansin
kasaysayan, no? Yung European Parliament naglabas ng 3 or 4 resolutions for Laila's release. No? Ang US Congress naglabas ng mga 2 resolutions for her release. Ang US Senate naglabas ng resolution for her release. Ang International Parliamentary Union, ito yung alliance ng lahat ng parliamentarians around the world, naglabas ng 2 resolutions. So internationally, ang lakas ng suporta kay Laila habang kinakatay siya dito. No? Kaya natural yung nangyari kanina na yung mga embassies dito nagpadala ng representatives para talagang makita. Ano, ang tagal na nito eh.
Can you name some of the countries that were represented a while
Well,
ago?
yung strongly nandyan, yung European Union,
Okay.
which represents
European countries.
yes,
here.
yung mga ganyan. Yung
Was
iba,
the U.S. Embassy there? I mean, was somebody from the U.S. Embassy
I'm
there?
not sure. Pero I presume na meron. No? I presume. Dahil marami yung nandyan eh. Hindi ko naman na isa-isa yung mga pumunta. Pero talagang very intense yung kanila. Pumasok mismo sila dun sa kwarto habang kami ay nasa labas. No? Talagang tapos pagkalabas ng desisyon, talo pa nila yung mga Pinoy eh. Sasaya eh, no? yung mga Europeans. No? Kaya kitang-kita mo yung kanilang concern.
So I imagine, Ronald, that there will be some political windfall
Of
with
course.
this grant of bail
Of
for
course.
the administration that is currently in power.
Yes, dahil nalala mo, Patrick, even before the election, sinasabi natin na ito yung mga possible na low-hanging fruit kay Bongbong, no? Na dahil hindi naman niya kaaway si Laila, no? At malinaw naman na yung pagkakakulong ni Laila medyo questionable, no? Kaya pwedeng maging kwento sa kanya, very positive, lalo na sa international, na nung panahon na yon ay gusto niyang baguhin yung narrative, gusto niyang baguhin yung branding ng kanyang pamilya, no? Tingin ko ngayon ay pakikinabangan na yan. No?
It's a court
Tremendously.
case, Ronald, and I'm just
Yeah.
curious with your answer.
Yeah.
It's a court case. Why should the executive branch or the administration get credit for it?
Well, dahil
Because this is the Philippines?
halimbawa, nung 6 years ni Digong, yung Department of Justice ang nag-pursue talaga nito. At sabi nga ng
Yung
mga
prosecution
witnesses,
din eh. It's how you prosecute
sabi
it.
ng mga witnesses ng prosecution na sila ay pinressure no less than the Secretary of Justice para mag-testify falsely against Laila. Ibig sabihin yung power ng gobyerno, alam naman natin, sabi mo nga,
From the side of the prosecution,
yes, sa
from the
Pilipinas
DOJ,
ito,
Department of Justice.
lalo na kung alam nila, yung presidente, ganun magsalita. Alam mo na kung ano mangyayari, no? Kaya kahit theoretically, legally, wala namang pakialam yung presidente rito, yung benefit nito ay siya yung makikinabang. Ibig sabihin ay, iisipin ng mga iba ay hindi niya ginamit yung kanyang persuasion no? Sa Department of Justice. Hindi niya pinilit yung mga testigo.
He did not lean on this case.
Exactly.
Ganon.
So,
Hindi niya, ano ba yan? Ano ba another word?
pressure, no?
walang
So
pressure.
that's not lost on the international community. No?
I'll be malicious. Is it
Malicious
lost?
ka ba?
Is it lost on the political community? For example, the Marcos Group
Tingin
and
ko
the Delawans, kumbaga.
Tingin ko
ano effect
at
nito?
this point, ito yung mga last nail on the coffin nung uni team. No? Ito na yung mga huli. Tinanggal na yung hundreds of millions na intelligence saka confidential fund ni Vice President Sara. Tinanggal na yung pagiging deputy speaker ni Gloria. Tinanggal na sa preso si Laila, no? Kung papasok yung ICC next year, baka matanggalan din ng kalayaan yung isang ex-president, no? At yung kanyang mga cohorts, no? So, maapektuhan ito tremendously yung ating political dynamics, di ba? Yung it will help define the political alignments and
Okay.
realignments.
This is one, Ronald, this
Yeah.
is one more nail.
Yeah.
But this is probably not the last nail.
Well,
there should be a bigger nail
I'm waiting for the-
to end it all, right?
I'm waiting for the ICC nail, no?
Okay. You would think that, you would say
Yeah.
that would be the last nail.
Yes. At a few months ago, malinaw naman yung posisyon ng DOJ. Hindi kami magko-coordinate sa ICC. Hindi namin sila papapasukin dito. Naglabas ng resolution ng House at saka ang Senate, no? Defending the president, the former
Tsaka
president.
sabi mismo ng presidente, tama na yun, huwag na kausapin niya.
Yes. Just a few weeks ago, sabi ng DOJ, pinag-aaralan na namin kung papapasukin yung ICC paglabas ng international warrant. So, kita mo naman, hindi mo na kailangan mag-read between the lines para malaman kung ano yung ibig sabihin yan. No? Pero kung yan ay mangyari with finality next year, kung saan presumably lalabas yung international warrant, then that is the last giant nail on the coffin.
Okay.
Teka po.
Madagdag ko lang, nag-FB Live, nag-Facebook Live si dating presidential spokes Harry Roque. At sabi niya, tiwala siya, he trusts that his friend, his UP Law School batchmate, Boying Remulla, will not let ICC in.
Yeah.
Because may pinagsamahan sila.
Yes.
Not with Duterte, but sila dalawa ni Harry Roque.
Pero mahirap kasi pakinggan yung sinasabi ni Harry Roque dahil before the election in 2016, ang sabi rin niya ay, huwag niyong iboto yung mamamatay tao na yan, no? Pero in-offeran siya maging spokesperson, no? Naging spokesperson siya ng mamamatay tao. Ibig sabihin, yung ganyan, mahirap i-take yung word niya sa mga sinasabi niya. Lalo na pag sinasabi niya ipokrita yung Congress. No? So, I will take it with a ton, not a grain of salt, a ton of salt, yung sinasabi ni former spokesperson Harry Roque. Pag sinabi niya na, hindi, nagtitiwala ako kay Secretary Remulla na hindi pa rin niya papayagan yung ICC na pumasok.
Okay, Bok, we just need to take a quick break. Parang may commercial tayo, no? So, kasama po natin ngayon sa Storycon si dating Presidential Political Advisor, Ronald Llamas. Nakagagaling lamang doon sa desisyon, paglabas ng desisyon ng RTC Muntinlupa sa bail hearing, bail petition ni Lara de Lima. Ito po yung Storycon, magbabalik kami. Ito po yung Storycon, the stories that make the headlines, the stories behind the headlines.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group. This is the Storycon. Okay, with us is Ronald Llamas, who just came from yung grant of bail kay
Yeah, the
Senator Laila de Lima sa
Yeah.
Muntinlupa RTC.
Yes.
Okay, buti nakaabot ka, no? Okay. Pero ito, naglabas po ng statement si Senator de Lima. We will read parts of it. Medyo mahaba, no? Pero I'll start with the first paragraph. From Senator Laila de Lima, sa wakas, nakalaya na po ako. For years, my whole being has been crying out for justice and freedom. For more than 6 long years, I've been praying so hard for this day to come. Alam niyo po, napakasakit ang makulong ka nang wala kang kasalanan at ayaw ko pong mangyari ito sa iba. Bok, continue.
But I do not want to be sad or bitter today. This is the moment of triumphant joy and also of thanksgiving. But let me fast forward na. I think there are some important portions here. Of course, pasalamat sa defense team for their sacrifices. And their Judge Generhito, katapatan niya sa batas at justisya. At gusto ko rin pong pasalamatan ang DBM administration for respecting the independence of the judiciary and the rule of law.
Okay, tanong na natin kay Ronald, should we read something into that? Kasama sa statement niya, pasalamat sa BBM administration.
Well, dahil alam naman niya
Pinag-usapan lang natin ito a while ago. No?
Pero, alam naman niya na nung nakaraang gobyerno, talagang diniinan siya no less than the president. No? At alam natin yung tremendous power ng presidente, lalo na yung ganitong klaseng presidente. No? Alam natin na kaya yun yung doon siya nanggagaling . At parang nakita niya ngayon sa present government ay hindi ginamit itong kanyang suasion, itong kanyang
Moral suasion ba?
kapangyarihan, no? Baka hindi naman moral. No? Para diinan yung kanyang kaso. Lalong-lalo na, ang dami na nag-withdraw ng testimonies, no? Yung halos wala ka ng batayan . Kaya nga yung lumabas kanina na bail decision, parang hindi bail decision parang acquittal . No, parang judgment na dahil usually pag bail decision, maiksi lang yan . Ito mahaba. Sinagot lahat ng mga issues .
To Ronald, to what do you attribute the lack of interest of this administration in pursuing this case?
Well, on a personal
Bakit?
level, wala naman silang pinag-awayan .
Okay.
Diba? Wala naman silang masamang tinapay. No? Ikalawa, gusto nung administration na baguhin yung
image,
mga balat sa kanila in the past. No? Gusto nilang ipakita na ito ay isang bagong narrative. No? Kaya nga yung mga biyahe niya every month ay hindi yung mga investments ang positive . Ang positive diyan ay yung parang goodwill, no?
It's the regard
Yeah.
for the Marcos government,
Yes.
right?
At ito
Kasi
parang
may baggage yan, right?
Yes.
Yung
At
pangalan
ngayon,
niya.
ito ay continuation nun. Baka ito ay isa sa pinakamagandang continuation. Dahil, sabi ko nga kanina, European Union, European Parliament, US Congress, no? New Zealand, Australia, IPU, lahat yan. Naglalabas ng mga resolutions.
Of course,
for
Ronald, we know where you stand on this.
Yeah,
Ano?
yeah.
You're an advocate for Attorney De Lima. Nandun ka nga kanina.
Yes,
no?
yes.
Pero don't you think that there's a risk here that there's a risk in what the president may have been involved in?
Tingin ko,
What's the risk to his administration?
Tingin ko may risk kung nakialam sila. No? Hindi naman sila nakialam . Yun nga yung strength nitong kasong ito . Hindi na dumiin yung gobyerno. Ikalawa, ang risk dito is more political. Dahil merong magagalit. No? May isang ex-president na magagalit dahil ang tingin niya pinakulong siya ni Secretary Laila de Lima nung siya ay Secretary of Justice. At merong isang presidente, ex-president na magagalit dahil ang tingin niya kay Laila de Lima ay mortal na kaaway. Kahit pareha silang galing ng San Beda, no, mayor pa lang siya, iniimbestigahan na siya. So, hindi mga pushover yan. Ibig sabihin, yung isa ay 9 years president, malakas pa rin yan. Yung isa ay kakatapos lang as president at very powerful yung kanyang narrative. Hanggang ngayon ay popular pa. So yan yung magiging political cause sa gobyerno. Pero mukhang handa naman yung gobyerno na harapin na yan .
Yung tanong ko sa'yo kanina, may political cause yan. Pero may political rin yan na advantage din yan, I suppose, in a way. Yun nga, sabi ko sa'yo kanina, ang tanong ko sa'yo kanina is, anong magiging impact nito in terms of possible realignment sa political sphere with regard to the former opposition? Kahit pa paano, malaki rin na number of votes yan in the last election.
31 million
Yes.
Hindi, well, not just that, pero
Hindi, yung,
I'm
yung,
referring to the,
yung 15 million.
the 15
Sabi
million,
niya,
yung nasa panig ni
Okay.
Robredo at ng Liberal Party and yung mga against
Yes, if the government play their cards right, no, pwede nilang i-harness yan. No, pwede nilang i-harness. Kung hindi naman sila magpa-fumble sa issue ng inflation, sa issue ng maharlika, etc., then yung base na yan, yung sinasabi mo, na potential base na hindi bumoto last election, ay pwede yung significantly ma-harness. Di ba? Pero hindi lang naman kasi ito yung issue para dyan sa base na yan.
That's true.
May iba pang mga issues eh. Kung yung universe ay
Magre-realign, the stars will
magre-realign, no?
realign.
Tingin ko ay malaking possibility yung sinasabi mo, no? Na yan ay ma-harness o makuha yung suporta, no? Lalo na yung mortal na kaaway ni Laila ay pinopose yung sarili niya as the opposition, the next opposition. Dahil sabi nga niya ay mahalaga yung opposition sa isang demokrasya. So siya ngayon na magiging icon,
Okay.
hindi lang ang opposition, kundi lang democracy, no? Yun yung mangyayari.
Okay. Bok, puntahan muna natin ang reporter ng News 5 na si Brian Basay. He was at the hearing today in Muntinlupa. Brian!
Hi, Patrick. Yes. If you were to ask us what it was like earlier, we cannot say exactly what happened inside because members of the media were told to stay outside the Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court. Even supporters were there, and they are hopeful that today is the day that Lina de Lima will walk free. And a little past 3 p.m., we saw de Lima herself go out of the court with the big news. Her bail petition has been granted. Her lawyer, Dino De Leon, told us what happened inside. He said de Lima looked up and said, "Freedom, finally." The supporters outside cheered as well. They said, "Lalaya na si Laila." De Lima earlier entered branch 206 past noon for the hearing on the last of the 3 drug cases filed against her by the Justice Department in 2017. Like we said, the court has allowed de Lima to post bail amounting to 300,000 pesos. Same goes with her co-accused, former corrections chief Franklin Bukayo, Ronnie Dayan, Jonel Sanchez, and Jad Vera. And yes, you read de Lima's statement from earlier. She thanks the Lord, her family and friends, and her legal team for being with her all these years. She also thanks presiding Judge Generhito for upholding the rule of law. She also thanks the Marcos administration for respecting the independence of the judiciary and the rule of law, of course. After that, she went to Camp Crame, where the PNP Custodial Center is. Dino De Leon, the lawyer, told us that they processed the bail at the Muntinlupa court. And then De Lima went ahead to the custodial center for the formal process of her release. After that, she's going to face the media again in a press
Pero Brian,
conference.
naihabol ba?
Yes.
Naihabol ba yung bail payment? Kasi malaking bagay kung mahabol mo hindi yung bail payment eh.
That's right.
Mukhang nakahanda na yun.
Tama na ihabol. Yes, they got it just in time. They processed it right away at the Muntinlupa court. And while the lawyers are doing that or are handling that, De Lima already went ahead to Camp Crame for the formal process of her release. So what's going to happen after that? She's going to face the media again at around 6:30 in the evening in Cubao, Quezon City.
She is.
And then,
She is. You're saying by 6 o'clock she's going to be free at least.
Yes.
Yes, that is the hope. That is the aim. Hopefully, sana malampasan nila yung traffic na to because right now we're also trying to follow where De Lima is and medyo traffic dito eh.
Siguro hindi niya na tatapusin pag-e-empake, no? Sa custodial center. Pwede
Habol
na
mo na rin
to
bagay.
follow later yung mga, mga gamit niya.
Saka hindi naman
Tsaka yung
marami.
mga halaman niya.
Hindi naman marami yung gamit niya ron.
Okay.
Okay,
That's right.
Brian, so alas 6, abangan namin yan, more likely si De Lima mismo ang haharap. Ibig sabihin, laya na siya by the time.
Yes, on bail. And then the lawyers also told us na hindi na siya mag-stay sa Camp Crame, uuwi na siya ngayong gabi.
Uuwi siya sa, with Quezon City ba to, Brian? At saka saan nga pala yung, where in Quezon City will the press conference be held?
The press con, we're sure it's going to happen in Cubao, Quezon City. And then after that, susundan pa rin natin si De Lima kung saan siya uuwi.
Yun, that's going to be a very exciting news for television, the moment that she returns back to her house. No?
Sabi nga niya, freedom. Pero di ba yung sinabi,
Freedom finally.
di ba yung
Yeah.
sinabi ni Mel Gibson doon sa anong pelikula yun?
Bago siya pugutan?
Oo, bago sa tinatag. Hindi naman ganun mangyayari kay Laila. Ikaw naman, oh.
Brian,
Mas Mandela naman. Yung,
Brian, thank you for your time.
Maraming salamat, Brian Basa.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So,
Bok, kasama
freedom
natin.
finally.
yes.
Napaka-poetic, ano?
After almost 7
Oo.
years, di ba?
Yung singit niya si Braveheart.
Si Braveheart.
Yung nangyari kay Braveheart.
Ito naman, mas Mandela naman to.
Talaga ano, 'di ba? Yung buong intestines ata niya.
Hindi pinakita sa pelikula yun.
Ang tawag doon, quarter.
Ronald,
They glossed over it.
major political development here that has reverberations everywhere. Marami pang mangyayari ito, maraming kadikit na magiging impact ito, epekto
Oo,
to.
alam mo, pinag-uusapan natin kanila, yung possibility na tugisin nila yung mga nagkumbinsi sa mga witnesses ng false testimony, di ba?
A day of reckoning, sabi nga.
Oo, pinag-uusapan natin yung international impact nito
Yeah.
sa gobyerno. No?
And then yung political
Pinag-uusapan
realignment.
natin yung political impact nito dito
With
sa
2025 coming
mga
in.
nangyayaring mga bakbakan
Yes.
sa ating political system, no? Tapos may parating kang midterm. Tatakbo ba si Laila sa midterm o papahinga
nga, no?
siya?
Oo nga, no?
So, lahat yan ay mabilisan. No? Mabilisan. Lalo na, alam mo naman yung ating telenovela political system, no? Is a house of cards, Game of Thrones, no? Kaya anything can happen, no?
Bok, pasok natin kasama natin si Jovinal Francisco at nag-iintay siya ngayon. Joey!
Okay.
Joey!
Jovi Francisco, our story editor. Jovi, balita mo kami dun sa anong lineup ng mga programa natin for today. What's the
Good
big story?
afternoon, mga titos. So, tulad na sinabi niyo sa intro niyo kanina, ay from our focus dun sa Maharlika Investment Corporation kay Rafael Consing Jr. na shift tayo this afternoon to the story of Laila de Lima. And of course, na-shift lahat ng ating mga nabaliktad yung ating mga rundowns. So all of our producers are readying a newscast or programs na yun yung ulo natin imbes na yung unang storya dapat at sine-chase natin today or earlier today, mga kapatid. So nasabi niyo na halos lahat, pati yung reaction ng mga senador, pati yung we'll be covering or we'll be coming up with a wrap on that. Also, meron din tayong
Any word from Malacanang?
ihahanda. Yung team natin ay nakahanda for the 6:30 just in case na matuloy yun dito sa One News. So, mag-abang ang mga viewers for that.
Joke,
yes.
Any word from Malacanang or from the former president or the former president's camp? Any word from them? I mean, the senators okay lang yan, pero di ba?
Wala pa.
Masarap
Wala pa.
malaman kung
We're
sabi ng
waiting for that
Malacanang
and we're
ang
actually
dating
chasing
president ng
itong mga
Malacanang.
producers natin ng reaction from Davao at least. Tapos, dahil nga, I mean, nagsalita na si Senator Bato at si Harry Roque, pero we want to hear straight yung reaction from the Duterte camp.
Ay, sorry.
Yun ang chase for tonight.
Bok, give us an idea. Ano sabi ni Bato? Tsaka ni Harry Roque?
Hindi na-accept nila yung naging desisyon ng korte dahil ginagalang daw nila ang proseso. Basically.
Okay, that's a safe answer.
Okay, Joey,
Safe answer. Very short and safe yung answer nila. Yes, Patrick.
Joey, we will be seeing you a while, mamaya lang, sa totoo lang, sa STL. Ano ba meron sa inyo mamaya? Anong pwedeng abangan natin?
Aside from this big story, dungaw kayo sa likod nyo. Hindi ba makulimlim?
Oh, weather!
Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll be focusing on the weather, at least for the second half, doon sa STL. And I think pati sa the big story tonight, dahil si Kabayan, pag pumasok na yung tropical depression, sa Thursday, Kabayan ang pangalan niya. So sa Thursday yung tinatayaan ng pag-asa na pagpasok sa PAR o sa Philippine Area of Responsibility. So from LPA, tropical depression na yung kanyang
Okay. Par, malayo
yung
pa yan.
tawag sa kanya.
Malayo pa yan, Bok. Par.
Kabayan.
Pero
parang
alam
symbol
naman
ito,
natin
si,
saan ang
former
possible.
party list ni Harry Roque.
Yun.
Symbolic.
Okay, so alam ko kulang tayo sa oras saka we have to prepare for the other
Natanggal siya.
programs. Pero sabihin ko
Natanggal
lang, nag-react si Senator Bongo dun sa item natin this morning nangyari nung weekend about yung destabilization or destab na allegation na nilabas si Senator Antonio Trillanes sa isang programa natin, The Chief, sa One News. At dinedenay niya na merong kinalaman ang sino man from the Duterte administration sa destab. So we'll also give you that sa ating mga news breaks at saka sa ating mga programs tonight. Last na mga tito dahil kailangan nyo pa rin may kausapin.
Do we need to know anything about the softer side of the news today? Meron ba tayong ganyan?
Meron, pero before that, pwede bang iwanan ko muna kayo ng isang palaisipan for tomorrow?
Okay.
Tomorrow ay aalis ang Pangulo for a 5-day trip because of the APEC Summit plus side trips
In San Francisco.
LA and
in San Francisco.
and Hawaii. So 9 p.m. ang alis niya tomorrow. So meron tayong inaabangan doon, Tito Patrick, Ed, and Tito Ronald. Sino ang itatalaga na caretaker? Yung usual ba?
Ikaw joke talaga,
iba.
malisyoso ka.
Naughty.
Okay, oo.
Kita mo
Sige,
yung ngiti
itong
si
APEC
Joseph.
Summit dito sa San Francisco, Joby, no?
Yes, APEC Summit.
Okay, of course, this is the United States, ano? But is the Chinese president going to that summit?
Merong pitch kanina among our editors sa chinichay sila kung confirm na we're still trying to find out from Maricel kung totoo na merong bilateral or merong conversation kahit sa sidelines na mangyayari between any official from the Chinese government and our government or the president.
Okay.
So may hula ka ba kung sino caretaker?
Ayoko hula.
Malalaman natin bukas kasi usually ina-announce kapag nandun na sa departure honors or kapag paalis na.
Walang palto siya, Joby, no? Talagang may tinatalagang caretaker.
Kailangan yun.
Okay. Kasi alam natin, ng panahon ng dating presidente, na yung vice president niya, hindi naman niya kaalyado, no such thing, right?
Si ES lagi. Yung ES ni former president.
But since technically, nominally, at least nominally, the president and the vice president belong to the same ticket, the same party. So let's see. Yeah. Okay.
Abangan natin, 9 p.m. tomorrow, alis ng
That
buong
will
party.
be pregnant with meaning.
Yes. So will that be another nail or just a tamtax lang yan?
Mga pakong bakya.
Kayo, mga malicious kayo. Wala naman nakalagay sa Constitution kung sino kailangan talaga pag...
Si Joby yung
Sabagay,
naka-naughty
sabagay.
smile. Hindi naman tayo, di ba? Si Joby yung nakangiti.
But we're looking at kasi past
We're just
practices,
saying,
Joby.
we're just
looking
saying
at
na
past
hinihintay
practices.
natin yun.
Yeah. Kasi kung di naman nag-designate, so wala tayong abangan. Di ba? Pero if all of a sudden wala, then yeah. Bahala na kayo.
May distab talk
Oo.
na binabanggit.
Na dito pa nang galing sa 1PH, no? Yung pinag-reactan ni Senator Bongo.
Patrick, yun na. Sasabihin ko lang na walang connection yung pagkakasunod ng item ko. Talagang yun lang ang nakalista from our Storycon. Okay.
Okay.
Nagpaliwanag.
Joby Francisco, maraming salamat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nagpaliwanag tuloy.
Okay. Well, obviously, malaman ang story conference natin today.
Buena mano ka, Ronald Llamas, dito sa story conference natin.
Delikado pala buena mano rito. Nasasala ka kung saan.
Pero eksakto, no? We had a major breaking political
Na
development.
maraming
which-
implications sa
Into the
maraming
art.
bagay, di ba?
matagal na rin inabangan. In fact, at a certain point, the story got boring. Because it became very legalistic. Okay? That people lost track. Ang dami palang kaso, ang dami nag-recant, pero bakit hindi pa nakakalaya and all that. Now finally, she walks.
Yeah.
She'll be home. She'll be giving a press conference.
Medyo kinabahan nga kami kanina dahil may 5-minute break. Tapos yung prosecution, medyo tumututol pa, medyo dinidribble pa. No? Medyo kinuha. Kaya sabi nung
Token resistance siguro yun.
pwede, pero sabi nung judge, pagbalik ay magdi-decision tayo
Yun.
doon sa bail, no? Nagkaroon ng 5-minute na break na naging 7 minutes no, kanina. Kaya siyempre, habang naghihintay ka, kinakabahan si Laila, di ba?
So this is only a decision to grant bail, but the
Yes. But
defense is confident that eventually
Dahil
this
yung
will lead also
laman
to
ng decision ay
dismissal.
makapal, mahaba, at halos sinagot yung lahat ng issue. Hindi lang sa issue ng bail. No, parang itsura niya, parang judgment.
So bakit, anyway, this might be a legal question, but hindi lang dinerecho na dismissal? Kamukha ng mga naunang
hindi ko
kaso.
alam yung...
Petition for bail lang po kayo.
yun lang
yung
nakasalang.
promulgation, iba pa yun.
Okay.
May iba pang nakakaso sa
okay.
Court of Appeals, no? May iba
And
pa.
you have to
Kaninang umaga may separate din na kaso.
And the judge has to set the calendar for that. Eh.
Yes.
Okay.
Pero,
okay. So this is a decision on a petition for bail.
Pero mahalaga yan dahil
First things
matagal
first.
na rin yung request
Yeah.
na hindi nangyayari. So, it has a political implication, not simply a legal implication.
Saka mahalaga siya in the sense na the wording of the judge may also have bearing on future decisions. Eh.
Yan exactly.
The
Yung,
Ronald,
burden
pwede
of establishing guilt of the accused that the prosecution failed to establish that.
Hindi kaya pwede pang bawiin.
well, theoretically, legally, no, pwede naman yan, no? Pero marami silang kakainin,
Oh, yun.
no? Marami silang kakainin. Kaya I doubt kung mangyayari 'yon, no? Baka ang mangyari ay tuloy-tuloy na 'yan, no? Tuloy-tuloy na. Naset na yung predicate, no? Para dun sa eventual acquittal.
Until the final nail, as you said?
Giant nail.
Until the giant nail. Let's see kung darating yung higanting pako na yan at pinagbabanggitin.
Okay. Sana ganito kalaki rin story natin bukas.
Pag dumating yung nail, ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon, pag dumating yung nail next year, ano yung options ng mga Duterte? Yung maganda pag-usapan na.
We want to have you back. At originally, we booked you for this afternoon because we wanted to talk about the shifting political landscape in the Philippines.
Iba nga yung topic na binigay niyo sa akin.
So, but because of this development, medyo na-bump up yung original natin pag-usapan. We'll have you back to talk about more in detail about the political developments, no?
Yes.
Maybe you can guide us and guide our viewers.
Which is very colorful.
And it just got more colorful.
Reading into the
Yes,
events.
yes.
Yes, okay.
It got more colorful today.
Yes. Kaya
And
yun ang hindi mo masasabi sa Philippine politics.
that is
That's
boring.
boring.
Okay, and those are the stories that are the headlines and the stories behind the headlines. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Patrick Paez. Join the Storycon again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Good afternoon. This is the Story Conference Group, or the Storycon Group.